You're listening to The Central Cast, a podcast for mystics and misfits just like you. The Central Cast is recorded before a live audience every week at our church in Glendale, California. Thanks for tuning in.
Isn't this place great? I don't know. I think it's fabulous. We were just remarking before service how it ticks all of our boxes. I am so excited to be here. I know you are as well. And full steam ahead, right? When I was in Oregon last month on vacation, I went to a stargazing party at a local winery. It's a mountaintop winery with a commanding view of Mount Hood in the distance and the Willamette River Valley below, with rolling hills of evergreen trees and vineyards. It was absolutely stunning and the perfect setting for a cosmic experience. In this case, a stargazing party that the winery was putting on. They had invited in a local astronomy club from Portland, complete with about 15 high-powered telescopes. And that night I saw a spiral galaxy. I saw something called a supercluster, which was a cluster of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of stars. I don't know how far away. I saw a nebula. I saw three shooting stars that night with the naked eye, because it was early August and part of the Perseid meteor shower. Here's a fun fact about stargazing that not a lot of people know. When we look at the stars, simply the act of looking at them means that part of the star literally becomes part of us. This is because the light we see when we look at a star, even a star like our own sun, that light is made up of trillions of tiny particles called photons. And when we look at them, those photons, those particles enter our body through our eyes, come into contact with our retina, are then converted into electrical signals by those cells sent across your optic nerve to your brain, where your brain converts that signal into a mental image for you. Isn't that incredible? But to be clear, none of this happens unless part of the star becomes part of us in those moments. And to me, this speaks of how connected we are, how connected to and affected by the world around us we are in a myriad of ways that we're not even aware of. I was also struck that night by the fact that by looking at these stars, I was looking back in time. Many of them, of course, were hundreds of thousands, if not millions of light years away. Thus, I was seeing them as they were hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years ago. And to be sure, some of those stars, they're not shining anymore. That's kind of amazing to think about. In other words, the light that you're seeing is light from a star that has long since died, perhaps. And yet the light is still traveling here because it's so far away. And so when we look up at the night sky, we are seeing the cosmos as it was in a particular state or stage in its development. And this in turn reminds us of how everything is in a constant state of flux, a constant state of change and becoming. And we are a part of this eternal and infinite process of change and becoming. The question is, what does this mean for us? Spiritually speaking, this morning. What does this mean for us spiritually? What does it look like for us to embrace the never-ending process of change and becoming, spiritually speaking? And I think we're doing that here, right here, right now, as a spiritual community, because here we are in this new space, our first Sunday here. This is the next iteration of our church. Think about the changes that we've undergone in just the last 6 months since March. I think it was March 7th or March 10th that we closed escrow on our building. Hi, welcome. Come on in. Hi. No, you're good. That's going to happen here in this new space. But think about it, everybody. 6 months ago, we were still in that building on Central Avenue that this church had existed in some way, some fashion since 1959. And then, of course, we moved to that design studio and event space Casa Nueva Verdugo up by Montrose. And now here we are. That's a lot of change. That's a lot of transition in just 6 months. And yet, we didn't go about it in a sad or fearful or even apprehensive way. We've gone about this change, this season of change, in a joyful, celebratory, inspired, excited way. And I just want to take a moment and recognize that. That's a really big deal. Let's celebrate that. Kudos to us. Yeah, for doing it. Do you know how rare that is for a church to do this, what we've done in the last 6 months? I mean, I don't know if you know how rare that is. It's pretty rare to do what we're doing and to do it with the attitude we're doing. It's really amazing. And it's almost unheard of, but that's who we are. And I love that about us. This is who we are. And it speaks to the spiritual depth. It speaks to the spiritual depth of this community. That this is what we're doing with the vision and the heart that we're doing it with. Let's never lose that. Let's never lose our openness and adaptability, because I think these things are integral to life itself. Adaptability and openness to change is what it means to be in harmony with the universe itself, a cosmos that is constantly changing, and every time we look up at the night sky, we are reminded of this. And adaptability is also what it means to be in harmony with the nature of life on Earth too, right? Nature teaches us that animals that do not adapt to their environment are not selected for survival, which is a nice way of saying that they go extinct. Thus, adaptability and openness to change is really the key to both physical and spiritual survival, or spiritual vitality, I like to say. How many of us have had to adapt spiritually to the changes in our lives and what we've learned about ourselves and the world? We call it deconstruction, but really it's adaptation, isn't it? Spiritual adaptability is spiritual vitality. This means our beliefs should change as we age and develop, as our lives unfold and we experience more of life and more of the world. We should change. I mean, the idea that you should believe at 50 what you believed at 15 is preposterous. It's kind of ridiculous. Such a person, you might say, hasn't really lived or hasn't really taken seriously what has happened to them in their lives. Who wants to be that person? I don't. It's kind of sad. And yet that's exactly who millions of people are today. Many of them are in our own families. And they see our spiritual vitality, our spiritual adaptability, and spiritual evolution as a kind of spiritual death, don't they? Not spiritual depth, but spiritual death, they see it as. They see our willingness to change what we believe and think as a really bad thing, a kind of dangerous thing. We're lost, they would say. We're in exile. This is the crew that told us when we were in grade school, here are the answers to life's deepest questions. Here is what you are to believe for the rest of your life. Now never change. Or else. Or else. Right? This is what we were told. That's crazy. What an astounding thing to say to somebody. What an astounding thing to say in this vast, complex universe that is constantly changing and moving and becoming. What an astounding thing to say to a kid about something as nebulous and as subjective as faith and spirituality, myth and ritual, theology and metaphysics. I mean, these are not scientific fields of study, right? But rather fields of subjective experience and intuition based upon ancient stories full of symbolic and esoteric meaning. The idea that you're not going to shift and change in how you might look at those things, think about those things, believe about those things. I mean, give me a break. You absolutely are. The fact is, the places we go, the experiences we have, the people we meet, the spaces we occupy, like this one, these things shape us. in ways we are not even conscious and aware of, like photons of distant starlight entering our bodies through our eyes, becoming a part of us that we're not even aware of. In the same way, we are connected to and affected by the world around us in ways we are not aware of. And so the question becomes for us, how has what's happened to us recently or in the distant past shaped us spiritually? And how will what we experience here together at Livery shape us, both collectively and individually? Because it will. Just like all the experiences and the places we've been before have, so will this. This is such an exciting and interesting time for us, and such an exciting and interesting question for us, but ultimately one that cannot now be answered. Soren Kierkegaard, that great Danish philosopher of the 19th century, once said, "Life must be lived forwards, but can only be understood backwards. Life must be lived forwards, but can only be understood backwards." Because while we live our lives moment by moment, the meaning of what's happened to us, the significance and the meaning of what's happened to us can only be understood in retrospect, can only be understood in hindsight. We must therefore embrace the forward momentum of life, accepting uncertainty and unknowing along the way, and then find meaning and learn lessons and make adaptations as we carefully consider the past. The question is, what are we going to learn about ourselves here? What are we going to learn about ourselves collectively and individually here at Livery in this stage of our development, in this moment, in this time? I don't know. How will what we do here and experience here together shape our identity and vision for the future? Obviously, we cannot now know, but I am excited and inspired about what we will discover together. And I hope you are too. I know you are too. And so that's my talk this first Sunday here in this new space. And as always, we want to open it up for comments or reflections. I'm always curious to hear your story. How has maybe change and becoming, spiritually speaking, unfolded in your lives or at this church? Anybody want to share anything about any of that? Or do you want to review the space already? Yeah, Anne.
I'm super excited about this new phase. Like, I feel like the energy is different. Our excitement about what we represent and what our movement is going to be going, our movement towards the future.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's really cool. I know for me, when you ask like, change in your life and in your faith or whatever, and being expected to believe the same thing when you're 15 as when you're 50.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. For me personally, the more I have retreated from that perspective and opened up to ideas outside of this little box that I was given, which I was told was really dangerous, the more peace I have. Just like, and I'm not somebody who really talks in those terms that much, like, oh, I have so much peace in my soul. But genuinely, and I've gone through the most tumultuous, painful experiences of my life in the last 6 years. And still with that, I have more peace than I had before. So for me, that's what that change has meant. But
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Change has brought you peace. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Other thoughts today, reflections, remarks about any of this? Like Sarah, then Julia.
It's just reminding me about the lobster story.
The
Or like
lobster
the have you heard of this? Like the lobster shells are as they're growing and changing, they become too big for their shells and
yeah.
it gets very, very uncomfortable. And it's very painful for them to shed their shells. And then they're like all naked out as they're growing the bigger shell to fit the bigger lobster
Yeah.
that they've become. And this is like a very relevant theme in my life right now too, how uncomfortable change can be sometimes. Even growth can be uncomfortable. And this isn't uncomfortable to me. This is really nice, but there's a learning curve, like the parking and just figuring everything out. But that's where the growth comes. That's where the good stuff comes, is through the change, through the uncomfortability. That's all it made me think of.
Yeah, no, that's really great. Thank you. It's kind of rare to be a spiritual community that embraces change and all the uncertainty with it as a spiritual practice, not just something we have to begrudgingly accept. Right. Like we see it here as a spiritual practice and one that innately gives us peace. That's pretty radical.
And implies to us that we're learning and growing. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. We're kind of making our home in the frontier, in the wilderness, where you don't really find certainty, but you become comfortable with the nature of life and uncertainty, which is life and exploration and innovation and becoming. That's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. Julie.
I feel like I've probably said this already, and so this will be the last time I say it. hold me to that. But I've been reflecting this week a lot about what this community is for me. And I think some of you know this, but I pastored a church for 3 years and literally left that church because, like, in no uncertain terms, they said, we value our building more than our pastor.
Yeah.
And I opened up that conversation and led that conversation. And the investment in the building was so strong that they were comfortable, in so many words, letting that message get across like publicly, right? And at the time it was extremely hurtful because I was their pastor. I thought they loved me, And what I'm realizing is, as I heal in this community, of course, it had nothing to do with me. It had to do with really that investment in a building, which seemed to me absolutely insane, and to them absolutely fundamental to who they were as a church, and that they would rather die, which is what they are doing right now, than give up their sanctuary on Sunday morning to pay their pastor because they were running out of money. And what is so amazing to me, I know I'm on staff here and whatever, but what's so healing to me about this community is that you all have done the exact opposite of that. And so on a very personal level, just me being here is so healing because I've found a place. It puts that painful death now in the frame of resurrection, because I get to be here with all of you who, when I say, hey, let's do this, people are like, let's think about that. And that is that kind of, like, as Erin says, that frontier mentality, that like uncertainty, that willingness to say yes, that's so much about life has been really healing for me.
Yeah. Thank you.
Personally and professionally.
I'm so glad this is a place of that for you and for so many of you, I think. But that story you just told about that church is a tale as old as time itself. That's the usual story. I mean, that is the story of so many churches today, with buildings older than older than ours was. People,
I mean, the denomination that you and I are a part of, I can't see it surviving.
Disciples. Yeah.
Because they're so stuck in old ways. And a huge pillar of those old ways is the building.
It's so easy to become beholden to material things rather than the relationships, the community, and the vision that a spiritual community can have.
Yeah.
It's weird how that happens. Yeah, we become beholden
and who
to
wants
structures.
to be part of a community that values the building more than you?
Yeah, it's
anyway.
It's a common story. Yeah, Keela.
Thank you. I was just going to say, what I was thinking is, I thought I knew what you were going to say while you were talking.
Okay.
And
then I didn't say what you thought.
Yeah. And yeah, so I thought you were going to be like, oh, and then you look and then it changes you as much as like I had a whole idea.
Okay.
And so I'm only mentioning it because I think that is one of my character flaws, is thinking I know everything. But I think that's also this idea that I think I know where something is going or what something will be, instead of just waiting to see what it is. And when you were talking about, this idea of change and what, the new space and the things, and I was like, yeah, like I really am like, I already know how this is going to end. Like I always think that. And that is not true. So I just wanted to say that. That's it.
Well, that sounds good. Anybody else today? Yeah. Oh, Emily, way over there. There, standing. I'm already standing. I'm capable of doing this. Here we
Didn't say anything.
go. No.
I don't think so.
Exactly.
Because I'm trying to keep up tradition. Do you know what I mean?
Some traditions should maintain.
I think that is exactly like, I love traditions. I hate change. I know I've said that before. I don't do well with change. I like things that are routine. I like to know when I walk in the door what things look like, where things go, how, you know what I mean? Like that's like my safe space. And because for me, almost every place is sacred. Like if I'm having experiences there, like it creates a sacred space for me, especially a place like this, right? Like my office, like places I spend time in, it needs to be the way that I need it to be. I think that all the changes, I was able to get super comfortable at this church prior to all the changes happening. Like, I don't know if I said this, like when I was 18, my parents were like, we're moving out of our childhood home, your childhood home. And I was like, no, we're not. I'm out of here and I'm not packing up my room. So that means we're not leaving. I literally left for 3 weeks and I came home and there was nothing at my house. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, it sort of was like this, where it's like, I was super comfortable at the other place. I knew the sound. I knew that where I sang. What does my voice sound like there? What do we sound like there? Like, but I think the changes that this church has gone through, because it was so sacred for me, actually have taught, and like your talk is like, exactly. Like if we're not changing and adapting, like we're not the same. You have a baby, you're not the same. You get married, you're not the same. Like you have different experiences. You're not this. You move to a different state, and you know what I mean. You meet different people and have different experiences. You're not the same. So it's like, why would we? This is just another, of course, reason why none of that made any sense to me back in the cultish Christianity that I was in. Like, why are we still believing archaic things and also mixing everything and cherry picking and I was like, what are we even doing? Like, this is not even like, it doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? One, it doesn't make sense. And I don't like things that don't make sense.
Yeah.
I need reasons for things and, but it taught this church. I know that's another change that I'm not happy about.
Having
that.
a fire station.
I'm in the
right
middle of
next door.
talking. No, but it's like, changes I think I'm seeing them better now. And with that, I feel like maybe I don't mind change. It's just certain things that make me uncomfortable, right? That like feel like they're painful, feel like they're hurtful, but what's coming, and like you can only live forwards, but you can only understand it backwards. Like perfection. Like that's like the perfect statement. Like, yes, absolutely. So I also appreciate this church, its changes, and the people and like the spaces and how everybody's sort of go with the flow type of thing. Like that's like the perfect environment for me.
Fabulous.
So
thanks. Thank you for sharing your story and your experiences with change, both good and bad. Yeah, thank you. Anyone else today? Well, let us conclude as we usually do. Bob's like, whoa, I got to get the benediction. Fabulous. Awesome. Thank you,
there
Bob.
we go.
Let us say our benediction together now. As we go from this place, ourselves to seek and humility, dedicate ourselves as Christ to the causes of justice and the grace of this life, this world, and each other. Amen. Thank you for being here, everybody. Hang out, coffee, donuts. We do have to be completely out by 12:15, but that's in 45 minutes. No problem, right? And, if you want to walk into Old Town and have lunch, you can do that. All right?
Please go to the cluster in
Oh, yeah.
Candidly.
Thanks for listening in on this week's edition of the Central Cast. Hope you enjoyed it and hope you join us next time. Bye-bye.